Yo, what's good, fam? It's your boy, and today we're talking about one of the coldest to ever lace him up, Derrick Rose. Now I already know where your mind goes whenever you hear his name. Y'all thinking about the injuries, the what ifs, and what could have been. But today, nah, we're switching that up. We're talking about what was, and trust me, it was something special. D Rose had a career that anybody would be proud of. And it's time we start giving that man his flowers while he's still here. First off, let's take it back to the start. Rose didn't just show up on the scene with a silver spoon in his mouth. Nah, he came from the trenches, straight up. Chicago's South Side, Inglewood to be exact, a place where it's more common to hear sirens than swishes. He wasn't supposed to make it out of there, let alone make it to the NBA. But Rose, he was different. His talent wasn't just good for his block. It was out of this world. He had that hunger, that fire, but more than that, he had heart. Coming from that type of environment, you know the odds are stacked against you. It's a battle just to stay alive, let alone stay focused enough to become the #1 draft pick. Let that sink in for a minute. Derrick Rose didn't just get out, he dominated his way out. We can't forget he was the #1 overall pick in the 2008 draft. You know how rare that is? Being the best out of a class full of talented dudes from all over the world. That alone is a career highlight for most players. But for Rose, that was just the beginning. Ask any player at the start of their basketball journey. If you could be the #1 pick, would you call that a success? I guarantee you, every single one of them is nodding their head like, hell yeah. But D Rose didn't stop there. He went from being the top pick to one of the most explosive players the league has ever seen. All right? And you know we gotta talk about that MVP season 2011, the youngest MVP in NBA history. Let that marinate for a sec. At 22 years old, this dude wasn't just playing ball, he was taking over the league. He wasn't just the best player on his team, nah, he was the best player in the world. LeBron was in his prime. Kobe was doing his thing at a high level. And here comes this kid from Chicago, snatching the MVP trophy. 22 years old, leading the Bulls to 62 wins, and doing it with swagger, finesse, and raw athleticism. That MVP season alone, that's enough to go down as a legend. But for Rose, people always want to throw shade. Like, what if he didn't get hurt? What if the injuries didn't happen? Yeah, the injuries were tough. No one's denying that. But that's part of the game. It's easy to sit here and wonder what could have been if his knees held up. But we're missing the point. Even with all the injuries, the surgeries, the comebacks, and the setbacks, Derrick Rose still had a career that most hoopers would dream of. Think about it. MVP, multiple All-Star appearances, almost $200 million in career earnings. Now pause on that last one for 1 second. $200 million. That's not just NBA success, that's generational wealth. Rose didn't just change his life, he changed the lives of the family and generations to come. He broke the cycle, created a new legacy for his people. You think anyone wouldn't trade that? Nah. Ask any player if they'd be happy with that, and they're saying, sign me up. D Rose didn't just make it out, he changed the game for his whole family. Coming from the South Side of Chicago, where opportunities are far and few between, he turned that into wealth that'll last lifetime. He gave his family something they never had: stability, security, a way out. Rose broke those generational curses that trapped so many people. That's bigger than basketball. Man, we talk about players changing the game all the time. But how often do we talk about players changing the narrative for their family? Rose did that. So when people want to hit you with the what could have been, nah, flip it. Look at what was. And let's not forget the impact this man had on his community. D Rose was that dude for Chicago. You see, it wasn't just about him hooping. He gave people hope. He was the proof that you could come from the same blocks, the same schools, the same struggles, and still make it to the top. He showed kids that they could dream bigger than their surroundings. Do you know how much that means to a city like Chicago? It's priceless. Even if Derrick Rose only inspired one kid to go hard and chase greatness, that's a win. And let's be real, he didn't just inspire one person, he motivated an entire generation. Now, let's talk about how Rose handled everything. Injuries can break a man, especially when you're on top of the game and it all gets taken away in an instant. But D Rose, he never folded. He never lashed out. He handled it all with class, with respect. Lesser Rose, coming off the bench, he embraced it. And that's rare in today's game. You see, a lot of stars can't handle that transition. But Rose did it with grace. Never complained, never acted like he was too good for it. Even when his body couldn't do what it used to, he still found a way to contribute. That's a testament to his character. That's why D Rose is so respected. Not just by the fans, but by his peers. No matter what, he stayed solid, kept his integrity intact. You can't put a price on that. At the end of the day, injuries and adversity are part of the game. But you know what's rare? Reaching icon status without selling your soul. Derrick Rose became the face of a city, stayed true to himself, and inspired millions along the way. He didn't have to chase the spotlight. The spotlight found him because he was real. That's rare, y'all. We live in a time where people love to chase clout, love to sell out for a little bit of shine. But not Rose. He stayed humble, stayed grounded, and that's why he's a legend. You can talk about what could have been all day, but let's talk about what was. Derrick Rose did things that few players have ever done. And he did it all while changing lives and inspiring future generations. That's real greatness. So yeah, it's hard not to think about what could have been. We all know D Rose was on the track to be one of the all-time greats. But instead of focus on what didn't happen, we need to start focusing on what did happen. And what happened? Derrick Rose lived a dream most hoopers couldn't even imagine. From being the #1 pick, to the youngest MVP in history, to making generational wealth for his family, to inspiring millions of people around the world. That's what Derrick Rose's career was. Not a story of what else, but a story of triumph, resilience, and greatness. So let's celebrate D Rose, not for what could have been, but for what was. An iconic career, a respected legacy, and a man who overcame every obstacle life threw at him. D Rose is a Chicago legend, NBA icon, and a source of inspiration for people everywhere. And remember, not about the what ifs, it's about the journey. And Derrick Rose's journey is one for the ages. That's all for today, fam. Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Let's keep this conversation going. Peace.